So this here is pathogen group number 4. And we're going to start out with Plasmodium vivax, the cause of malaria. Malaria is caused by a protozoa. The pathogen is a protozoan. There's a variety of them. Plasmodium vivax is just one of them. We also have Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale. They're all transmitted by vectors, and it's mosquitoes that are the ones that are transmitting this disease, and it's the genus Anopheles, so the Anopheles file, Anopheles mosquito. The intracellular parasites in red blood cells with a complex life cycle, so they belong to the group of the apicomplexa. And people that have malaria, they experience cyclic attacks of fever, chills, headache, back pain, myalgia, sweating, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, cough, all of those. It's basically the Plasmodium vivax hides in the red blood cells, and when it breaks out, they all break out or leave those red blood cells, burst out of red blood cells together, and that causes then all of these pretty severe symptoms. And people could die from malaria due to renal failure or pulmonary edema. Those are the most common causes. Malaria is a disease that has affected millions of people and has killed millions of people. There's a lot of drug resistance. The drug of choice is chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, and you can see here there's much drug resistance throughout South America. You also see much drug resistance in many parts of Africa, India. You can take a look at this chart. You should fill out a pathogen chart for malaria, of course, and make sure that you take a look at the profile and get some more detailed information on the internet. Next one is Entamoeba histolytica. That's the cause of amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. This protozoa disease kills about 100,000 people per year worldwide. It's not very common in the United States, but worldwide it is a problem. The transmission is fecal contamination of food or water, so basically unsanitary conditions. There are 2 cell forms, which is true for many of the protozoa. They can exist as a trophozoite or as a cyst. The cyst would be the survival form, and the trophozoite is the actively reproducing form of this protozoa. The trophozoite will cause dysentery, meaning gastrointestinal problems, just diarrhea and throwing up. It could be anywhere from mild to severe, and could be also going chronic. So here would be the entamoeba cyst. The survival form, it kind of resembles the spores of bacteria. And here we have the activation of a cyst. So the cells are breaking open and return into the actively reproducing forms. Here are two different protozoa type of diseases. The first one is Trypanosoma brucigambans. That is called also African trypanosomiasis or sleeping sickness. And you can see sort of a distribution roughly throughout Africa. Here is a sketch of the pathogen that's causing it. So we have a flagellate right here, Trypanosoma brucigambans, and that should also go into your lab handout for the week. The vector for trypanosomiasis or the Trypanosoma brucigambans is the tsetse fly. And once you have the pathogen in your body, it can cause central nervous system damage. The progression could be rather lengthy. Here's the next one, Trypanosoma cruzi. That's the American sleeping sickness or American trypanosomiasis, also known as Chagas disease. The vector here is the Trypanosoma species of bugs, also referred to as a kissing bug. Now this thing is fairly large. If you take a look at this bug right here, being kissed by a bug like that is not the nicest thing you can imagine. And so this bug here is about 2 to 3 centimeters long, and it tends to land on your lips and wants to kiss you. And as it is basically biting you and wanting to suck blood, it ends up feeding on your blood, and while it's feeding, it's pooping out on the other end. And people that are being kissed by this bug and then have the poop on their lips too, they end up rubbing the poop from the bug into the wound that the bug created when it was biting you, and that's how you get infected. Rather disgusting pathway here, but that's how it works. And here's some statistics about it. So in more than 300,000 people in the United States are affected with Trypanosoma cruzi, the parasite that causes Chagas disease. So that is published by the CDC. And here would be the more information about this. So Trypanosoma cruzi, what this thing looks like. It's a one-cell parasite, and here would be the kissing bug, again, 3/4 of an inch long, so about 2 centimeters in length. This thing is fairly large. I'm not sure how you would be not feeling that this thing is landing on your lips and trying to bite you, but I guess that's what can happen. Chagas disease, just a kiss away, a kiss from the nasty bug that ends up pooping on you, and then that's how the disease gets transmitted. But it's mostly a problem in South America, as you can see right here. Venezuela, Brazil, Argentina, those are the big countries. The infection cycle was of the Chagas disease. You can just follow the arrows here, starting with 1, going on the green cycle right here, taking a look at the infection cycle of Chagas disease and how that can progress. Also the next picture here showing you again this nasty bug, and it's pooping out the pathogen right here. You end up rubbing it into your skin, into the wound that this bug has created by biting you. It's altogether a nasty thing. So that's how the life cycle of Chagas disease works. Moving on to yellow fever virus. So now here we are clearly at a virus again. And here's the profile of this virus. It's a flavivirus related to dengue fever. It's a single-stranded RNA with envelope vector that's transmitting disease is the Aedes species of mosquitoes. It's relatively rare in America and in the Americas, I should say, and still pretty common in Africa. There is a effective vaccine. If you travel to an area where it's common, you should definitely get the vaccine. It infects the liver and, of course, may cause jaundice because of that. Here be the yellow fever, somebody being bit by this mosquito, and that's how the disease gets transmitted. Next up, dengue virus, also single-stranded RNA with the envelope. There are 4 types, 1 through 4. Vector is again the Aedes species of mosquitoes, common in tropical resort areas where there's lots of mosquitoes. There are still a lot of cases annually from dengue fever. Most of them are not severe, but some cases end up in hemorrhagic fever, which is not so much fun. Here is a picture showing you first exposure to dengue is usually mild disease, followed by immunity to that type of virus. And then subsequent exposure to a different type dengue virus, the immune response causes hemorrhagic fever that could be potentially fatal. Antibodies that are already present from the first exposure of one of those dengue viruses enhances the viral growth and increases the vascular permeability of this virus, and then you have a problem. And here we're finishing up with the rabies virus. And this one is a single-stranded RNA virus. It's bullet-shaped. It's enveloped. And once you're infected, it causes encephalitis with all of the following symptoms right here. You can read through that. It is fatal in most cases. And in the United States, most cases are bat-associated. It does have a fairly long incubation period. Generally speaking, the farther away from the central nervous system the bite was, it's usually an infected animal that's biting you. So if it's biting you on your foot, then you can expect the incubation period to be longer, as if it was biting you in your upper arm and you're closer to the central nervous system. But it's an interesting virus. So bullet-shaped, as you can see, enveloped too. The virus travels from the site of where usually an animal was biting you, an infected fox maybe was biting you, and then the virus travels from the peripheral site toward the central nervous system, where it then causes the problems. Rabies symptoms include drooling, which you can see on this kid right here. Sort of this fear of water for some reason. And the rabies diagnosis is typically established with these negroid bodies. So you would have to do a skin biopsy. With a skin biopsy, you can do a direct fluorescent antibody test. Most people do DNA tests on saliva or cerebrospinal fluid these days. So the CSF is cerebrospinal fluid. And in an autopsy of the cerebrospinal fluid, you would look for these dark bodies or negroid bodies. So this would be right here, one of those right here, or it's shown in here. These are these little dark spots that you can see in the biopsy. And that's it for this pathogen group. Please look up stuff on the internet. Make sure that you do your pathogen groups. Of course, pathogen sheets, I should say. Of course, one should be done for the rabies virus. Then the dengue viruses, it's 2. Then we have yellow fever virus, that's 3 on viruses. Then we had the Chagas disease, Trypanosoma cruzi, that's 4, but that's a protozoa. And then Trypanosoma brucigambans, that's 5. And Entamoeba histolytica, 6. And malaria, 7. So 3 viruses and 4 protozoa. Make sure that you fill out your viral and non-viral pathogen sheets.